All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about a prediction that was made for a fight at 154 involving Terence "Bud" Crawford and Jermel "Iron Man" Charlo by a certain 140-pounder by the name of REGIS PROGRAIS. Also, in a related topic, Virgil Ortiz prediction about with him and Terence Crawford made in a way where you combine these two things. I have to tell you, man, I think Errol Spence Jr. is about one of the most underrated fighters in boxing. Don't worry, I will make sense of what I said in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 154-pound division, also the 147 and 140-pound division, talking about some news that came out yesterday. Very interesting boxing conversations coming out from both REGIS PROGRAIS and who will be fighting Zepeda coming November 26th. I do believe for the WBA 140-pound title, and also EGIDIJUS, who's just coming off of a win against Fox on the undercard of Sebastian Fundora versus Carlos Ocampo. Now, these two guys made some predictions about fights, man, that I'm telling you makes me believe that Errol Spence Jr. has got to be one of the most underrated fighters in boxing, or there's just something that I'm seeing different than these fighters. Now, before I get into the detail of it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really, really does mean a lot to the channel. Like my guy, Herbert Johnson, thank you so much for your continued support in the super chats, the live streams that you do in the live streams, and also the super thanks, which you can do in the video. You can see below the screen. With a little heart and a dollar sign. It's a way, you tip your hat to content creators. But let's get into this. Okay, so REGIS PROGRAIS says that he told Terence Crawford, you cannot beat Jermel Charlo. Now, if you're not familiar with this, Terence Crawford has said that if he cannot get in one of two scenarios, that he wants to fight Jermel Charlo. One is if he beats Errol Spence Jr. and he wants to move up to 154 pounds and go for his third consecutive undisputed title by fighting Jermel Charlo. Now, granted, Jermel Charlo has to get past Tim Tszyu before that fight can take place, but that's what he said, right? And the other scenario would be if the fight with Errol Spence Jr. does not take place. So REGIS PROGRAIS, who made a prediction for the fight, and made a prediction with the Terence Crawford fight, with the Terence Errol Spence Jr. fight, said, I don't know, man, about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. He said he used to be really heavy Errol, but now he's like, he doesn't know. It's like it could go either way. Now that Terence has been at 140 and he's knocking out, at 147 and he's knocking people out at 147. But he says when it comes to Jermel Charlo, no, you cannot beat Jermel Charlo. Jermel Charlo hits too hard. He's too good a boxer. No, Terence, you're not going to be able to beat that guy, right? Now, it's not like I disagree with him because honestly, I don't disagree with him. I do think that is a very, very big hill to climb for Terence Crawford, because Jermel Charlo is one of the more underrated fighters in boxing. And Jermel is so much bigger than Terence Crawford that is going to cause that guy problems. Right now, Errol is significantly bigger than Terence Crawford, but Jermel is significantly bigger than Errol, and both height and reach. It's going to be a very, very difficult fight for Terence Crawford. Now, there's also another prediction that was made by EGIDIJUS. Now, EGIDIJUS said that he leans towards Terence Crawford beating Errol Spence Jr., but then turns around and says that he thinks that Virgil Ortiz will beat Terence Crawford because Virgil Ortiz is too big and he's too powerful. He hits a lot harder and is a lot stronger than Terence Crawford is. So you've got both REGIS PROGRAIS and and Egis Kavanaughis, thinking that Terence Crawford and Errol is going to be a very close fight, and one of them leaning towards Terence, but both of them saying a guy at 154 and a guy that is still at 147 in Virgil Ortiz will beat Terence Crawford. So what does that say about Errol Spence Jr.? You know what I mean? First of all, it's hard for me to conceive if you say that. First of all, it's hard for me to conceive Virgil Ortiz being a favorite to beat Terence Crawford, right? That's kind of hard for me to see, even though that is a fight that Virgil Ortiz has said in the past that he wants. That's kind of hard for me to see, right? But if you think Virgil Ortiz is going to beat Terence Crawford, in my book, you would have to think that Errol Spence Jr. is going to run through Terence Crawford, because Errol Spence Jr. is just as big as Virgil Ortiz, hits just as hard as Virgil Ortiz, is as consistent a puncher and attacking a fighter as Virgil Ortiz. But obviously, Egis Kavanaughis has not actually been in the ring with Errol Spence Jr. to see that. But I just think that is really, really interesting, man, that like that particular style that Errol has, I think what they're saying may be true. Like, yeah, it looks really, really simple and easy going into the ring, but when you get into the ring, it could be something very, very, very different, right? Because the idea that these guys are making these predictions are just kind of wacky, Now, Regis PROGRAIS may say that because, he's very, very close with Jermel and he's very close with Jermel, and he's just riding with his guy. He's not as necessarily as close as Errol, even though he knows Errol. But, obviously Regis PROGRAIS has been fighting out of Houston, Texas, since he was a teenager. And that is where Jermel and Jermel both also train out of. So those guys have been very close. You see on different videos, Regis PROGRAIS being over at Jermel Charlo's house and hanging out with Jermel. So, I'm sure that there is that amount of closeness there. But it's just really interesting, man. And it just, again, brings me back to the conclusion that fighters, as far as predicting fights and who's going to win fights, man, I'm telling you, man, these guys are not a whole lot better than just really hardcore boxing fans that watch the fight, watch boxing matches from the outside. If you look at the number of times that these guys are right about their predictions versus how many times just regular guys that, are not world championship level fighters or who are not trainers are right, it's it's really not that much off, man. It is. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I really still like what Stephen Breadman Edwards said, that like you got to wait until you see these guys in training camp, see what these guys are looking like in the particular camp for that fight before you can really make these predictions. But all in all, man, to me, I this is a part of boxing that I really like, man, because it makes, as long as the fights actually happen, you get just so many very widely varying opinions about what's going to take place. Even like where you have Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis, where you have people picking Ryan Garcia to beat Gervonta Davis, which in my mind is for absolutely no good reason. I mean, yeah, I think Ryan's got a puncher's chance, right? However, a lot of that stuff Ryan's going to be trying to throw is not going to land on Gervonta. Gervonta is much too good a defensive fighter, and Ryan still got his chin stuck up in the air. So at a certain point in time, he's going to get clipped by that guy. I say Ryan's got for the first 4 or 5 rounds to do something. If it goes much beyond that, man, that dude is going to be looking at a very, very hard time. But you literally have boxers and other trainers, like one guy's like, oh man, this guy's going to get knocked out by him easy. The other one is like, oh, Ryan's too big and all of that. But anyway, interesting conversation. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.